On this trip, we're down in the Bay of Plenty. I like to go down there sort of January, February, March, as you're often going to get nice clear water and so many great fish to go after. The forecast wasn't fantastic, so we had to try and find some shelter after a bit of a rough trip out. I spent a lot of time sitting down looking on Navionics, looking on charts and all sorts, trying to find bits of reef that I haven't dived before. This provided a really good opportunity at a bit of reef that I could see that I wanted to check out. It started in around about 20 metres, worked its way out to nearly 30 metres. Darren anchored the boat and me and Sophie hopped in and we started swimming out to sea. As soon as I could start seeing the dark patches on the bottom, I made a dive. It's such a spread out area this, it's really exciting to go and investigate it all. On inspection on the bottom, there are signs of good fish. You see there's a blue moki and some trevally. A good starting point, but I know I'm not on the hot spot here. But I won't turn down a nice trevally. On big reef systems like this, I'm trying to find the most localized spot where all the fish are going to hang out. I obviously haven't hit it here, as there are some nice fish to shoot, but it doesn't look like there's big congregations of fish. This will make some great sashimi though. And of course, if we're swimming right out wide off the coast, always take my Wettie float boats so boats can see me in the water and I don't have to worry about sharks pinching my fish. Here's just a little bit of an example as I'm swimming around how I'm trying to navigate myself over this bit of reef. You can see the dark shades and where the reef is and then lighter where the sand is. I've got in my mind which way I think the current's running and I'm trying to navigate myself around the reef, seeing where I might find some good fish. Before diving, always rub my hand against my face. If you're diving with a GoPro on your mask, I put my hand against my face to make sure my GoPro's lined up in the right direction. I've swum over a bit of reef and then I'm onto a nice sandy area again here, and it almost looks like there's a channel between the reef. And with the way the current's running, it looks like this is the sort of place fish might come and hang out. Straight away I spot some Cherokee. Exactly what I'm looking for. When encountering Cherokee, often it pays to get down to the bottom, and as soon as you get to their level, if you put up some sand or just act really calmly, they'll swim right up to you. In this situation, I didn't want to bother them too much and try and give Sophie a go at shooting them. It's a little deeper here than what we probably would have wanted her to dive, but she's going to give it a go anyway. Fortunately, this nice clear water, I can be a good dive buddy and I try and stay above her at all times so I know exactly where she is. Her gun goes off and I can see she's managed some success. Really good going in this deep water, her getting one. And always, to save the mess before you get back to the boat, I gut and gill all my fish. Get all that gut and gill out so it doesn't end up all through your chili bin. It's my turn now. And also on the way down, it was really interesting. These sweep made themselves into a big ball and they were spinning around. And then creating this crazy looking sort of stem going all the way to the bottom. Fish school up like this in really strange ways sometimes. Also in a big sparse area like this with high kelp and high weed, you don't want to race to the bottom too quickly. Try and scan on the way down. As getting to the bottom, you might not be able to see too far if the kelp's in the way. And here's a black spot goatfish, something that's becoming more and more common in New Zealand, especially in these sort of more pelagic-y areas out wide off New Zealand. Even though I've been sitting here for a while, I didn't really see that there's actually a few cherokee sitting just behind that bit of kelp there. I tell Sophie I'll just do one more dive and grab one more cherokee before we move off, as this could be a bit of a localized area for cherokee, but it doesn't seem we're on the hot spot just yet. Bit of a pain here as it tangles up all around the kelp. In the float boat, and me and Soph discuss how we're going to head a little bit further out to sea and see if we can get onto the edge of this reef. An important part when I'm diving, especially if I'm doing a little bit of deeper stuff, I always want a really nicely balanced gun, and ideally nice and light. You don't want to be dragging extra weight up and down with you when you're diving. This will help a lot when you're diving deep and also give you a lot more maneuverability. Although I can't see the bottom, I'm just slowly working my way further out to sea until I spot a bit on the bottom that kind of looks like there could be something. Often if I'm diving reasonably deep, I'll check my watch every so often to make sure that I'm getting ample surface time. Constantly pre-equalizing, grabbing my nose on the surface so that I don't have any equalizing issues when I dive. I take my deep breath, snorkel out, tuck that underneath my chin. And this always happens. Sometimes you get your feet caught in a float line. Try not let it ruin your dive and put you off. Stay nice and calm. This was looking a little bit more promising. We're out deeper here, and it looked like we were getting off to the edge of the sort of main reef, and there was a big rock here. A perfect spot for fish to congregate. And of course there's kingfish hanging in the area. When there's a rock like this on the bottom, I'm diving on the upcurrent side. And of course the obvious way of figuring that out is either figure out which way the water's pushing you or see where the bait is sitting. A great looking spot. Any good fish could swim past here at any time, I'm sure. It takes a bit of time, but a big school of pink maomao spot me and come towards me from being right out on the sand. Been down here long enough, so I'll take one of those up with me. Between dives, it does pay to check your watch just to make sure that you're getting a good amount of surface interval, at least twice what you've just done on your dive. Back down on the spot, as it does have that sort of feeling like it's a highway for different fish to come past. We're a fair way offshore and we seem to be getting onto the edge of the reef here. The pink maomao are obviously moving in and out off the sand, same with the kingfish, so they must be doing something right out wide there. Target wise on this dive, it just seems that it's just mainly pink maomao again, so I'll take one more of those. Sophie's the perfect dive buddy and she's always keeping an eye on me when I'm on my way back to the surface. It's so enjoyable diving this nice blue water, exploring out on reef, out in the deep. You're never sure what you might find. And of course accumulating a nice catch along the way. After shooting a few fish on that spot, we thought we'd head in for some different scenery and look for some crayfish. Found a nice bit of reef on the sand in a little bit shallower water. Good looking cray countries with nice underhangs and cracks. This was quite a good hole, but as normal the biggest of the crayfish have tucked themselves right at the back, so I'm trying to dig a hole by moving rocks so I can get in closer. These front pack horse crayfish here are a little bit small, so I need to try and get to that big one at the back. You can see his big fighter claws at the back there. I'm doing my best not to shine my torch directly in their eyes, as it's not very good for them, as well as it's obviously going to spook them back. Even though I'm pretty skinny and got long arms, I can't quite reach him. But no matter, there's so much great cray country here. This is exactly what you want to look for when you're looking for crays. But it just seems a lot of just sort of undersized pack horse. Still decent sized crayfish, but not legal in New Zealand to take. The crays certainly know how to find a good hole. With all these nice caverns and everything, they have a long way to escape. And again, I'm trying to jam myself in a hole to get hold of another one. But unfortunately, my arms are a little bit short and I'm a little bit slow. So many places for them to escape. It was amazing to see how many fish would pop out of the weed while we're looking for crayfish as well. Although no luck on the crayfish, I didn't leave empty-handed, as there was plenty of people who've been dumping stuff on this reef. Obviously it's a commonplace dive for crays, as I found a cray noose, a beer bottle and a rubber mat off the bottom of the boat. All destined for the rubbish bin, not to be left in the ocean. Before we headed back in, we headed back out wide on the edge of the reef. The tide had changed a little bit and I was after maybe a kingfish now and maybe one other reef fish. Even though I'm doing some sort of funny dance on the surface, I'm just trying to reiterate, you want to try and be relaxed on the surface, loosey-goosey. And I'm breathing into my stomach and then following and then breathing into my chest. That's going to help keep my heart rate down and help me relax so I can hold my breath longer. I don't have much weight on when I'm diving deeper like this, as I take weight off my weight belt, so I try and create a little bit of forward momentum before making my dive. Try and minimize your kicking on the way to the bottom. As soon as you're becoming negatively buoyant, allow yourself to sink. Although it's a little dirtier on the bottom now, it's still really alive with fish. And it's amazing what the change of current does. There's different species turning up now. All the pink mau mau are back, but now they're accompanied with a whole big school of splendid perch and these really nice big trevally. Large trevally like this are normally quite spooky and don't like to come too close, but once on the bottom they were quite docile and made easy pickings for my Viper Pro. Not quite the kingfish I was after at this point, but almost as big at a decent size. Again, preparing for my next dive, I check my reel to make sure my drag system's at what I want it to be at. Thinking of everything that I need for once I'm at the bottom. Although you can't see it so much here, I was just doing this to show you that I half close my eyes to help relax, to keep my heart rate down. Deep breath, a little bit of forward momentum and pop my snorkel below my chin before making my descent. Use my spear gun to point the direction I want to go in to make sure I'm nice and vertical so I'm not wasting oxygen by swimming on an angle. As always, looking around me on the way down, as if I can shoot something before I get to the bottom, that's a bonus. Those purple little fish there that are hanging with the pink mau mau are splendid perch, and that's a really big one, almost as big as the pink mau mau. Normally a species you see a lot of when you dive really, really deep. These had obviously moved out of deeper water to come in to inspect. Beautiful looking fish. A great looking spot this, and in comes a small kingfish. Exactly what I'm after. And a good quick shot with my Wettie Viper Pro, and it's easy pickings. A perfect scenario, because even though not a really big kingfish, with the reel gun at this depth, it can make a real problem for you on the way to the surface if you badly shoot a kingfish. First off, bleed the kingfish. So important to make sure the meat's better tasting when you eat it. And with that, it's more than enough fish for us for the week, and we're happy to head home. Fortunately, the trip back is a little better as we're coming with the waves. Another awesome visit to the Bay of Plenty, and I can't wait to get back down.